I know there's some people say, oh, he lost fans from the battle. I don't think he lost any fans from the battle.
Apparently Drake is returning soon. Drake is preparing for his next summer run, I guess. Drake's What Did I Miss? The video with all the guns and him dancing by himself. That looked very depressing. It topped U.S. Spotify and Apple Music charts after its recent release. The track is believed to be the lead single from his upcoming album, Iceman, with streaming numbers climbing and anticipating building. Iceman could become one of Drake's most quote-unquote successful releases yet. Otherwise, I put that in quotes because it depends on how we define that.
Drake has been very successful as far as those metrics are concerned, so that's a lot to say.
Yeah. So What Did I Miss sounds like, and shouts to Maja 7th, this was his contribution here. He said, What Did I Miss sounds like it's all about Drake feeling betrayed. How do you think this will make his new album, Iceman, sound? And I'm going to add another piece to that we can maybe go on. Is it going to sound any different than anything else he's done?
It's going to sound cold and lonely.
You think?
Just like that video. Yeah, I don't know, man. He could have kept that respectfully. It's going to be successful. The project's going to be successful because everybody wants to hear what he has to say after coming off the project or
so
whatever.
So just off GP, people won't click and see.
Exactly.
So that's a given.
But those numbers, I don't believe none of that shit. And the only reason I say that because each time he drops a project, the numbers go up. You know what I mean? This is the most streamed out. And the projects don't get better. You know what I mean? So he streams and farming streams and all that shit, I really believe that to be true. Yeah. On both sides.
So does he. That's why he's suing.
Yeah. And that's the sad part about it. Like, man, you only crying because it didn't work in your favor. But when it worked in your favor all this time, you ain't have nothing to say. Frustrated, man. Or it's not. I'm not frustrated because I really don't have a dog in the fight. But I am annoyed by it. That's all I have to say about that.
I've said this before, and it sounds like a knock on Drake and his music, and it's not. It's just a reality. Look, Drake will always have girls and little kids. Okay, so those people
that
will.
Sounded crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, but
allegedly.
I mean, wow! I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, I know how you meant
I think
it, but yeah, that sounded crazy.
And I think you're right to say girls because women, not so much ananymore.
Okay, so
once you get to a certain age group, it don't really hit like that no more.
Because the thing is, I feel like, I mean, I know I've been away from the club, but not for that long. His records, older records of things he's been featured on, they still worked.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just
I'm just talking about new.
Okay, with the new records, my thing is this: you saw if you're the crazy thing about this song is it would have been great if it came out and everything he hadn't done up to this point has been a reaction. Not so much Nokia. I'm going to give him more credit there. Nokia wasn't a reaction to what's been going on. I don't think. I haven't listened to that song extensively to really break it down. But
what about the video, though?
The video,
corn.
Like I said, the video was corny.
Yeah,
but wasn't it a reaction in a sense?
But that's the thing. Like, say he didn't sue the rap music industry. Say he literally had been gone this whole time, and he came back and was like, "Hey, what'd I miss?" Like, that would have been different. But the fact that he has been reacting to things this entire time, whether it be in front of the cameras, not really in front of the cameras, but behind the scenes with all these lawsuits and all these other things that he's kind of had to say, then when I see this. And I hear the video, and I hear the song, and I listen to the video, whatever, with the guns and standing by the pool. I mean, are you just saying that's all I got left is
me?
Is me and us, it's just us and the guns, Shout out to Rockefeller. Some of y'all know the vibe.
I feel like that was some sort of interesting statement, obviously, that he's trying to make, but I don't feel like it connects on any type of meaningful level. And maybe that's just because I'm not a Drake fan, but I looked at it and I'm just like, this is kind of corny.
It would have had a little bit more oomph had he done it 6 to 8 months ago.
You think? I don't
know, man. It's just this wasn't anything new from Drake.
Musically?
No, not
definitely.
to me.
Musically, okay.
Not to me, because you could release this song at any given period and it would still sound like the same Drake, regardless of what he went through this past year. And he's acting like he doesn't remember what happened.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to Men in Black zap yourself and act like last year just didn't happen. You want people to fill you in. You know exactly what happened because you got something going on involving what happened last year. So as far as like, do I feel like he's been betrayed or this song is about him being betrayed? Yeah, I definitely think he's taking that angle as far as feeling like everybody's against him. But you kind of brought a lot of this on yourself because he's not explaining what he's done in this situation or why people are looking at him side-eyed, so to speak, because of whatever happened, whatever other people were talking about it. He's not. And then for you to have a lawsuit in front of you, you now have to tread lightly yourself. And the reason why I say that is I don't think anybody that he's talking about is going to sue him, but it would be kind of hypocritical for you to, you know what I'm saying, put the chest out there like I can say whatever I want to say, but you can't. You know what I'm saying? That would be kind of weird.
No accountability.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
What do you feel like Drake has to be accountable for?
Why people don't with him.
But, you know, people don't.
Hip hop.
Okay. Yeah. Hip hop right now is not feeling Drake. I wouldn't even say it's because of what, you know, the battle with Kendrick. I think it's when you decide you lose a rap battle, like many have lost before you and have been able to move on and keep things moving in their careers. But then you decided you're just going to basically sue hip hop.
Well, this is the thing. Had he continued to move past it with, like he did, like he seemed to do with Nokia, and he just dropped a new record that was hot, it would have been cool. I'll tell you this much. I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of hearing about the beef between them two. Like, I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of hearing them talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't heard anything from Kendrick outside of those records that he dropped a year ago. He's performed them and he looks like he's tired of performing them. Drake cannot leave it alone, unfortunately. And we hear it in this new project. You know what I mean? Even though he didn't say anything about Kendrick.
It's just about LeBron James in the pop out.
And DeMar DeRozan. I think that's what it was.
Those are beefing with NBA stars.
Yeah, those are the people who betrayed him, according to the records, according to the lyrics. That's what I deemed of.
Yeah, so there had to be a reason why they're not to mess with him anymore.
Or the rappers, or maybe the Weeknd.
So that was before all that.
All of them people. Metro.
The dignitary that went to the concert that he was upset at.
Oh, yeah.
Would that dignitary be somebody that he considered he loved hanging around who tried him?
What stood out to me about this record is the thesis of the whole record is, what did I miss? Because I've done so much for so many people. Why are y'all turning your back on me? And it essentially feels like, this is also why it's hard to have any type of compassion for somebody such as Drake and what he embodies as being kind of a soulless vessel that makes music, is that you went through this entire thing. You had somebody tell you exactly what we view you as. A whole bunch of people also came to and said, you are this. And then he responds with this idea like, I don't understand. What did I miss? It's like, okay, well, I guess that was Kendrick's point. And that was everybody's point. Like, you literally just proved the point with your first big record, the lead up to your new record, that you're exactly who everybody said that you were. And there's nothing else that needs to be verified or validated. That's the way I look at it.
That's the clip right there.
Yeah. Besides the subject matter of this song, how do y'all feel about this as a song in general? Like, is it a good song? Is it something that you can rock with, or
no?
Okay.
And I think if you're getting ready for your rollout it's kind of crazy to think about Drake having a comeback album, if you will. This isn't it. You need to do something that the women who have carried you really this far, as far as you being a presence in the clubs and on the radio for the better part of 15 years now, 10, 15 years now, more than that. You need to do something for them. Don't try to come after the hard rocks and the lyrical miracles and downtrodden hip hop fan.
He didn't do that either.
That's
though.
what the last album was supposed to be.
No, I think that's what sexy songs for you. Yeah, or sexy. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Well, he needs to do that, and whatever industry connects you have left, the people, the hit makers, the people who would ride for you and put something together, you need to be out here. You need to be hit maker Drake.
I don't think so. I feel like he is always going to be that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the default for him. It doesn't matter what he makes. He's always going to be a hit maker. It doesn't matter. He could go take a on an album and he would get more streaming numbers than
he did
a
that
regular.
with Tootsie Slide.
I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter what he does. He is hit maker. I think what would potentially bring more people back to his corner that maybe were on the borderline a little bit was if he actually tried harder. Mm-hmm. Like, if you go make an actual hip hop record, make a dope hip hop album. That's what the hip hop fans want.
Do what he did when he dropped the album before Sexy Songs for You, where he did the deluxe version and dropped like 3 or 4 extra tracks. The Scary Hours.
Do the whole thing like
those songs that he dropped.
Those 4 songs
were nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he could do a whole project like that,
yeah,
I'm feeling that.
I just feel like I know that he doesn't have to convince me, right? Like, who cares about me? But like the people that think like I do, that are hip hop fans, that are part of hip hop, that like hip hop, and he is in a rap battle with Kendrick, obviously, like, is wanting to be one of those guys. It's like, give me some hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
It ain't enough of us.
I think here's the thing, and I've said this before. Drake could do this and he would not lose any fans. He would only gain fans because the people that rock with him blindly will still rock with him blindly. That's just the type of person they are.
They'll just say, what do you want now? I will say this about this Drake rollout, because
and it would probably
this is his second album after.
Is it?
Yeah, because he dropped some Sexy Songs for You.
Oh, okay.
And now this album.
That's right.
So would that last album be considered a flop, or would it be just considered a something that wasn't as commercially successful as a Drake would like?
I mean, depends on like what we're comparing it to, right? Because I don't think you can't really
himself.
If you compare it to himself, potentially, but I don't know the numbers. Honestly, I don't really care.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, Drake. It's like Mike's very first statement on the show. Drake is kind of Teflon. Like, Drake is a pop star, so it doesn't really matter what he does, in my opinion. Like, he can drop an absolute flop and people will not care.
Yeah.
When this album drops, it's going to be number one.
It absolutely is going to be number one. You can't even question that.
For like 2 weeks. And then we're going to forget about it. Just like the last album.
I'll say this.
And the last album and the last album.
I'll
They don't
say
have
this.
no staying power.
If he has some solid singles on there, he might stay afloat a little bit longer. And every track on that album might be number one on the charts for a while. Like when Kendrick dropped his whole album was number one. Every one of the songs
Was in the top 10.
were top 10 for like 2 weeks, something like that. I don't know,
but
I don't want to misquote it. But he really needs to knock something out of the park, and I have a feeling that it's going to be the same thing that we've always gotten.
Corn.
well, this is the thing. When you talk about, I saw something about this is the summertime rollout or whatever, and I'm like, you know what? I've already seen back to school supplies in the store. Summertime rollout should have started 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is this when all the college kids get back to school. You're hoping that's going to be the one. I don't know, because summertime, there are a lot of people who've tried to do summertime rollouts, and you can't start it in July and August.
Well, the regular rollout isn't the same anymore.
True, and like you can't, and it's so hard to say, oh, I'm going to have song of the summer, when a lot of times that's something that's organic. The people pick song of the summer.
Song of the summer is just a thing people say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Respectfully, like watching that video, Drake looks like the old dude that doesn't know he's old. Like,
That's why he dressed up and went to work.
I guess so. Like, just like the dancing and the dance moves that he doing and man, it's just like, man, like, have a seat, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not even saying have a seat. I almost, if of course he doesn't listen to me or anybody else, I'd be like, this is your comeback season. and I'd somehow try to work that into the rollout that he's doing. This is just not it as far as a record. I when I think about, okay, what's going to work commercially, what's going to make it for maybe the rap nerds or the people who wish Drake would go back to his comeback season, that made me a Drake fan initially. That guy's gone at this point, and I haven't heard from him in quite a while. Yeah, and I don't think he's coming back, and that's fine because time moves on and everybody grows. I guess
he doesn't have to try anymore. I mean, Drake's in a position in his career where, regardless of if he's reading the room or not, as far as if he wants us to like it or not, it doesn't really matter. And I think that's why he continues with the same formula, because his core fan base is going to stand for him regardless. Like, we want him to drop something to make us bigger fans of him. Mm-hmm. But at this point in his career, he honestly doesn't even need it.
Not going to happen anyway.
So even if he's, so to speak, taking a gamble, it's still not really a gamble because he's not going to lose anybody. It's only to gain more people. But at this point, he doesn't need it.
And honestly, let's just keep it real. I know there's some people say, oh, he lost fans from the battle. I don't think he lost any fans from the battle.
He lost hip-hop fans.
Those people weren't really his fans to begin with. Not the people who actually went out and bought the tickets for shows.
I disagree.
Or who actually might have streamed his records ad nauseum. Like, there are people who were casual fans of his. Yeah, he might have lost, or maybe
people on the fringes. For sure.
Yeah, on the fringes. Absolutely. But like the people the same people who push his records to number one as soon as they come out, he never lost those people.
Yeah,
and I think, we talk, or at least I have, talking about super serving your audience. Get back to that, Drake, because quite honestly, you shouldn't be worrying about the people who played Not Like Us all through last summer. Those people aren't coming back. They were never with you in the beginning.
I mean, to me, I know we're criticizing this record, but like, sounds like he's doing exactly the same thing that he's been doing for the last 10 years. Yeah. So I don't think anything has changed. I think he is I think he already is. I think I think he's doing all that already. I just think he just made another record. It just so happens all this stuff is going on. It's just not impressive to me. It just sounds like Drake, and Drake is who Drake is. If you like Drake, that's cool. Congratulations.
Honestly, but the only fans that he should be worried about
are the only fans.
Wow. He should be worried about the youth that came up last summer rocking out to Kendrick. Because a lot of them, like, I've DJ'd some parties with kids specifically coming up to me asking me to play Kendrick songs. Weren't requesting Drake songs. So that kind of changes the demographic as far as people coming up.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I can see that, but I also, like, we're talking about art. I know there's the conversation about hip hop being super competitive, but I think the normal person does not give a flying whether it's Kendrick or Drake if it's a dope record, and so they'll just rock with it regardless.
Yeah, because
personally,
we're not talking about art when we talk about Drake. We're talking about product.
Right.
It depends, man. Because I remember being in high school and you were either a Biggie fan or a Pac fan. And I definitely liked both of them, but I preferred Pac. Like, if I had to be like, who resonates with me more? Who am I playing more?
Yeah, but Terry, you bought both their albums, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like, and I did too.
When you hear What Did I Miss, is there anything artistic about that record?
No.
I mean, if you want to put your fake, feather in your hat on and be like, oh man, all these guns probably signify all the people that have betrayed Drake, and he's standing in a room with a bunch of icebergs. That's deep. But it's like there's levels to this. Drake is always like, here, and
come a little lower.
And no, when I say like how many levels deep he's going, he's like one or two.
Got you.
The people that I enjoy is like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. It's down here. It's like you have to use your head a little bit. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with not having to use your head all the time. That's perfectly fine. But like, there's nothing that he makes to where I feel it's going to stand the general test of time, to where people will come back to it outside of it being a popular moment to where it's like going to like really affect somebody's life. I just don't see him making stuff like that. And
yeah, I don't either.
Like,
but I have seen back to the whole kids and trying to attach to the youth.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen videos of kids that were really into Kendrick's last album, video recorded, rapping them bar by bar.
Yeah.
I don't see kids doing that with Drake releases. That's why I'm saying I feel like he needs to somehow tap into that energy that they will rock with him, because that's the future of his career right there.
Sure, especially because of how he's said. But think of it like this. As these kids get older, right, they're going to have certain songs that resonate with them when they're 16, 17, 18 years old.
Right.
They're not going back to the same cookie cutter records that were hot 20 years ago that the same 16, 17, and 20-year-olds were resonating with. That's not what they're not going back to those specific records and being like, oh man, this is a very interesting piece of art that I need to analyze. It's like, no, this was a hot record.
The only way that he's going to or would be able to evolve himself is to start tapping into that energy to where I'm creating timepieces that are bigger than the moment.
Yes.
It has to be something bigger than the moment that they're going to resonate with and make them want to actually listen to some other stuff of his.
Yeah.
Because everything that he's did isn't just trash.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? He's got some good albums as a whole out there.
Yeah.
But in order for him to actually, you know what I'm saying, elevate his career, I think, if he wants to elevate it more than what it already is, because I mean, like we said, he's a pop star. He needs to tap into that.
I think if he wants to be like undeniable, you know, like this undeniable,
Like how he thinks he is already.
Yeah, I think that's what he needs to tap into, because I think this is kind of one of the biggest arguments to when you can put a Kendrick Lamar and a Drake up against each other. Kendrick makes music that if I'm 16 today and I go back and I reevaluate both of these people's type of music that they're making at the time, Kendrick's stuff is a lot more conceptual and interesting to decipher and to get into, as opposed to Drake's stuff is pretty much just surface level stuff that's going on, the same 4 subject matters over and over again. So he doesn't have a lot of longevity in that particular aspect, outside of the fact that they were massive hits that people are like going to.
But almost in a way, Drake's music is a perfect time capsule of what was happening
in that moment
in pop culture at that time, if you will.
Sure.
Like those songs resonated perfectly for the time that they were released. Some of them have aged better than others. Some of them haven't aged well at all. You know, but I don't see anyone writing their doctoral thesis on views.
Yeah, this is the thing about that. Yes, it was a perfect time capsule for that moment, but did you feel anything? The songs
if
do
I was
not
outside,
make you.
yeah.
No, you created some moments to it.
Yeah.
But the song in itself, you didn't feel nothing from it. You know what I mean? Like it was a song that played when you was out or whatever.
Yeah.
So
it didn't breathe life into it.
Yeah, when you called it soulless, he makes soulless music. I mean, that's kind of what it is, man. Like it's music for the moment to go out and party. We're gonna have a good time, have some drinks, have some girls around, and it's gonna be a good thing. But when I'm at home, or if I'm trying to, you know, if I'm having deep introspective moments by myself, sometimes
You ain't turning.
I'm not gonna get that. Yeah, I'm not gonna hear it. Drake's music is for
Passive listening.
Yeah, background music.
It's a vibe.
It's party shit.
Well, you know, like I remember when Kendrick came out with "I Love Myself." I remember hearing that song. They're like, and they, you know, did the whole rollout thing for it. And I remember hearing this, and I'm like, this is awful. I did not like that record at all. But I had to hear it within the context of the rest of the project.
I like that record.
You know, I just heard it, and I don't know if it was the sample. It was something, or maybe it was just where, and I heard it on the radio, and I was just like,
I heard
no.
the live version before I heard the recorded version.
It was literally an affirmation. It was him talking to himself, literally having to tell him, "I love myself."
Yeah, I get all of that, but I'm with Jay Moore. When I first heard it by itself, I want
because you know after I had heard, after Good Kid, Mad City, and this kind of, I don't want to say happy-go-lucky. I wasn't trying to hear that, but I had to hear it within the context of the rest of the album, and it fits. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Nah, I feel that.
Yeah, I don't know. I go back and forth on this type of stuff because on one hand side of the coin, it's like I don't really want to care or judge this stuff at all. Like Drake does make a specific type of music for a specific type of thing, and that is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not typically what I am interested in, and I think that's okay as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like the positing of comparison of a Drake and a Kendrick together, or a Drake and any type of artist together that actually puts that looks at their art outside of a simple like metric.
Man,
and it's just
Yeah, it's never going to end now. Like from here on out,
they're going to
anytime
be tied together.
one of the two drop, it'll always be a comparison for some reason.
there's nothing new under the sun, though, man. We went through this in our day with it's just a new Jay Nas.
Yeah.
That's all it is, man. You know what I mean? Because Nas was the one dropping the conceptual projects, you know what I mean, and the deep thought-provoking records. And Jay was giving you the party club records, but the difference between the two is Jay was giving you some of that too. It was medicine in the candy.
Yep.
You're not getting that with Drake, man.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the two.
But you know, that's okay. I don't want Drake to try to force being deep. That would be the worst thing he could do for his career. Just go, you know.
He could go and rap really well though. That'd be nice.
Okay, that's what he could do. Look, I don't care. Look, sometimes it's one. I heard someone else say this. Something can be in bad taste in your say. You just feel like someone consistently rapping about hoes and strip clubs and rims. You consider that to be in bad taste, but it can't taste bad.
Yeah,
And you know that's the difference between. I think where a lot of criticism from, I'll say people my age, because I'm the one closest to 50. A lot of the stuff that I hear from contemporary hip hop artists, it's in bad taste. But you know what? A lot of the stuff that I grew up on was in bad taste. Talking about, you know, the block and your disrespect for women. A lot of that was in bad taste, but it tasted good. You know,
What it tastes like.
the chronic, the chronic. When there's part of me when I hear, you know, bitches ain't shit. I was like, man, we was wrong for listening to this.
but it sounded so good.
You know, it was in bad taste. Let's just put it out there. That was in bad taste. But
was.
It tasted good.
Well, I bet you would still play that song right now,
No,
depending on where you were at.
Might ask Nick to play it tonight.
Listen.
But you know,
that being
I
said-
think about there. You know, but I've talked about my disdain for the second NWA album and how
Exactly.
not only is
Ooh,
that the second half of that album in bad taste, but it tastes bad.
It tastes bad. So you didn't think that she swallowed it tastes good? Because I was going to ask you how did it taste.
So he was going to try to use my words against me.
Building that case. Yeah, man.
On that note,
Drake is going to Drake, and we're just not his target demographic, and he's going to continue to be successful.